how crude oil production by OPEC countries affects oil-importing country like India. I'll break down the situation for you, using some real-world comparisons to make things clearer. This is important for the civil services aspirants, as it focuses on conceptual clarity. We'll look at the key insights, and I'll share a few simple examples along the way to ensure concepts are understood correctly. Oil prices have fallen quite sharply, by about 16% in April 2025. What will be its impact across the world and specifically to India? Why did this happen? Well, Saudi Arabia, which is the biggest player in OPEC+, kind of hinted that it might not cut supply anymore and could actually increase production. When production is increased, more supply and less demand. This would bring down the oil prices. Think of it like this. Imagine a mango seller who used to limit how many mangoes he brought to the market just to keep prices high. Now he's saying, I'll bring more mangoes and sell at lower prices if needed. And other sellers start following his lead. So naturally the price of mangoes drops. There's also been a shift in OPEC+ strategy, from protecting prices, price-driven, to focusing on market share, capture market share to increase sales to offset the price drop effects. The old strategy was to limit supply, which helped keep prices stable. But now, there's a hint that they might start increasing supply just to capture more of the market, even if that means prices drop. Why does this matter? Well, it signals a possible production war, where countries like Russia, UAE, Iran, Venezuela compete by selling more at cheaper rates, kind of like what we saw between 2014 and 2016. On top of that, 8 OPEC countries have already started increasing their output recently. This anticipation is causing prices to cool even further, now dropping below $60, which is actually the lowest in 4 years. How to understand this? Here's a simple way to think about it. If several restaurants suddenly add more food to a buffet, but the number of customers doesn't increase, the value of each plate goes down. So, more supply with the same or even less demand means prices fall. So let's talk about the demand side problems, which are honestly a big deal right now. The global economic slowdown is hitting hard due to geopolitical tensions, tariff war, etc. For example, the US economy actually contracted in the first quarter of 2025. And well, US consumer confidence is at its lowest point in 5 years. On top of that, global tariff wars are just making things worse. The end result is that even if oil is available, there are simply fewer buyers who need it. This in turn keeps prices suppressed. Now, what does all this mean for India, which is, a major oil importer? Honestly, it's mostly positive. Lower oil prices mean lower inflation, lower input costs, lower transport costs. Plus, a lower import bill leads to a smaller current account deficit. See ad. Here's a simple statistics. Every $10 drop in oil reduces India's current account deficit by 0.3% of GDP. To put it another way, it's kind of like your household expenses going down if LPG and petrol prices drop. More savings, less pressure on your budget. But there's also a risk of an extreme downside. According to Goldman Sachs, Brent crude could actually drop below $40. This could happen if trade tensions get even worse and oil production keeps rising uncontrollably. If that scenario plays out, exporters like Saudi Arabia and Russia lose revenue, while importers like India and China benefit. But, and this is important, the risk of a global recession rises. In short, OPEC Plus might shift from protecting prices to grabbing market share, which could cause oil prices to crash. That helps countries like India, but it also signals, deeper global economic troubles such as recession, etc. Lower Brent crude prices is good for India in the shorter term,